Why the good news miners are reporting in Q2 earnings is also bad news. And this week, mining lost one of its best. You're listening to Kitco Roundtable. I'm your host, Michael McCrae. Kitco correspondent Paul Harris is with us. Hi, Paul.
Hey, Michael, how are you doing?
And with us is returning guest, Ron Hochstein. He heads up Lundin Gold. Welcome back, Ron.
Well, thanks for having me back. And I wish it was under better circumstances, but really happy to be here with you and Paul.
On Wednesday, mining mourned the loss of Lukas Lundin, who died at a young age of 64 following a 2-year battle with brain cancer. On social media, condolences came from Frank Schuster, Frank Holmes, John Robbins, and many, many others. Lukas started his career in energy and mining sectors in the early 1980s, working alongside his father, the late Adolf Lundin. The 11 companies that comprise the Lundin Group today have a combined market capitalization in excess of $11 billion, employing over 15,000 people. One of Lukas's deals was acquiring Fruta Del Norte in 2014 for $240 million. The company, which Lukas chaired, now has a market cap of just under $2 billion and is set to produce 420,000 ounces of gold at $900 an ounce. Ron, you're heading up Lundin Gold. How did you first meet Lukas?
My career with Lukas has spanned a few decades. I first met Lukas in 1995. Actually, I was working for an engineering firm, and I was put forward as a project manager for a project they had in Mexico at that time called Vallejo, which is, I think, now in production with Career Resources. And we met. He never actually gave us the job. He gave it to Fleur. But there was something he saw in me, and he said, I want you to do all of my financial modeling for me, Ron, on this project. And then I did that for the next 4 years on everything he looked at, including something in uranium. And then in 99, he asked me to actually join the uranium company. And that was the start of my formal working career with the family So it's been many years, and they've been great years. And it's like yesterday that I remember that lunch I had with Lukas in Vancouver.
He loved the mining business, and he loved deal making, Ron.
He loved the resources business. I think in some respects, he had a bit more affinity to mining than oil and gas, but he loved it, as did his father and his brother, and now his sons. And deal making, his ability to see timing, and his ability to read governments and at the right time to do things. But his legacy in this business is going to go on for many, many years.
He was also well liked in the industry, Ron.
Oh, he was. The accolades, as you mentioned earlier, and that have come in, and to each of us as CEOs, words such as friend, mentor, leader. It's not too often you see that group of words together for a person, but he was really well liked because he had a mantra: work hard, play hard. And whenever he went on analyst trips with them, it didn't just be, this is what project we're seeing. There was always some hikes and some good times in there, mountain biking, whatever. It was always that work hard, play hard, which I think so many people really appreciated with Lukas. And the other thing was, Lukas, you knew where you stood with Lukas, and he really, he had a huge heart and a great read for people.
Paul?
I will echo that. A lot of the people I spoke to commented on how he was a very human person, a very warm person. He despite his wealth and his position, he sort of never looked down on people, whether it was a mining reporter or government or somebody from a local community. He was there to help, and he engaged at a sort of one-on-one level rather than a superior inferior sort of approach. So a lot of people have commented on that to me.
Paul, any lasting memories of working with Lukas?
Well, I was fortunate enough to interview him several times, and again, he never thought himself too grand to spend time, in this instance, with a journalist. He always wanted to be, I won't say front and center in the action, but he delegated. He liked delegating, but he also wanted to be part of it. He liked bringing people in. He liked. He was very, very competitive. He didn't want to miss out on what was going on. So, for example, I was on a field trip with him to Filo Mining in January 2020. This was just as the company was drilling the now famous hole 41. He was a sick dog with food poisoning, but despite that, he wasn't going to stay in his hotel bed. He was in the 4x4 going up to 4,000 plus meters to take the various analysts around to show them the drill holes and what was happening at Filo.
Ron, anecdote about Lukas?
It's, I got so many years with the family, and it's just that work hard, play hard. You hear that, but he truly lived it. And, I remember actually met him just the week prior, and, he said he's really happy with the way, happy with his life. And, I saw that the point that Paul made about humble. He came to Fruta del Norte, and whether he was talking to one of our board members, member of government, member on the inaugural, or just walking through the crowd and meeting some of our employees, and shaking hands with them and talking to them, and he was a man of the people, and he just knew that what he really believed in was creating. What he was doing was really helping shareholders, but also helping so many people in so many local communities all around the world.
And I think you can sort of really see that because it was Lukas founded the Lundin Foundation, which goes beyond what the individual companies do in their social engagement programs. It's that extra, it's going the extra mile outside of the companies. It's him, his family's money personally, looking to do good in the areas where the companies operate.
Kitco offers its condolences to the Lundin family. Let's turn to macro. The U.S. economy unexpectedly contracted in the second quarter, with consumer spending growing at its lowest pace in 2 years and business spending declining, raising the risk that the economy is on the cusp of a recession. That, according to Reuters, reporting on yesterday's GDP numbers. On Wednesday, the central bank raised its policy rate by another 0.75 of a percentage point, bringing the total rate hikes since March to 225 basis points. A number of quarterlies were out this week. Notable was a mention of peak inflation, with many CEOs saying that prices for their inputs appear to be easing. By the end of the quarter, the cost for several commodity-based consumables appear to have peaked, with prices meaningfully below recent levels. That, according to Yamana, who reported yesterday. We're also seeing mentioned that commodity prices are also softening too within those quarterlies. Gold is finishing the week on a strong note, though, trading up above 1760 as of this recording. Copper is up. Oil is back to triple digits. Paul, what were the mining headlines?
Some interesting things this week. M&A has been on people's lips for quite a few months now, and we saw another deal this week with GCM Mining agreeing to acquire the outstanding Aris Gold shares it does not already hold in a 560 million Canadian dollar no premium deal. That's with the resulting company to be led by Ian Telfer as chair and Neil Woodyer as CEO. GCM currently owns 44% of Aris. The company will have a strong Colombia focus, with the producing assets in Segovia, which produce over 200,000 ounces a year. The Marmato development project, which is under construction, will produce almost 200,000 ounces a year. And the Soto Norte joint venture with Mubadala in Santander, which could produce over 400,000 ounces a year. The company will also have the Toroparu development stage project in Guyana, which could sustain production of more than 200,000 ounces per year. In the battery metal space, specialty chemical company Livent announced a 6-year sourcing agreement with automotive company General Motors for battery-grade lithium hydroxide, primarily from its lithium brine operations in South America from 2025. The lithium hydroxide will be used in GM's battery cathode to electric vehicles. The deal adds to existing agreements Livent has with BMW and Tesla, and for GM, GM announced another couple of battery-related deals, which follows hot on the heels of rival Ford Motor Company announcing a raft of battery deals last week. In Alaska, Northern Dynasty Minerals entered into an agreement with an unnamed investor to receive up to $60 million over the next 2 years in return for streams on its gold and silver production from the Pebble project for the life of mine. Northern Dynasty received an initial $12 million payment, and further installments of $12 million can be made. The company said the financing gives it the financial wherewithal to keep fighting against what it considers to be unfounded interference by US federal government agencies in an otherwise well-established legal permitting processes. Elsewhere in Alaska, Kinross Gold announced a feasibility study for its Manh Choh gold project, in which it owns 70%, and a decision to proceed with its development. Manh Choh will produce about 225,000 ounces a year of gold equivalent for 4.5 years from 2024 on a full basis, and it will lift Kinross's gold production in the state to over 400,000 ounces a year. Finally, Integra Resources signed a credit agreement for a $20 million convertible debenture facility with BD Investments and announced an overnight marketed public offering of up to $10 million to finance 15,000 meters of drilling and other work to support permitting and the preparation of a mining plan of operations for its Delamar gold silver deposit in Idaho in the US. The term will be for 36 months with an 8.75% coupon, accruable for the first 24 months and payable quarterly in either cash or shares. Integra issued a pre-feasibility study on Delamar in February for an operation to produce over 100,000 ounces of gold equivalent per year for 16 years, and with production of over 160,000 ounces per year for the first 8 years. This struck me as an interesting way for a junior to finance in the current dire market for gold equities. And Ron, I'd like to bring you in here. Fruta del Norte has been up and running commercial production for about a year now. You must be very happy you're not building a mine in this current environment with inflation, equity prices, really, really squashed. You must be breathing a sigh of relief that you managed to get everything done before this turn of events happened.
I mentioned earlier, Paul, Lundins have that sense of timing. And yeah, quite frankly, this is the one time in my career where we did things, check the boxes in a lot of areas, not only inflationary, capital, people. You're seeing this push. It's difficult to get people now and rising wages and everything. But it wasn't only that too, but it was also, as you know, timing with regards to the government in Ecuador. At that time, Correa was president of the country. He was enlightened and saw what mining could do, but he was a doer as well. And so we were able to move the agreements through, get the permitting in place and everything, work with the government in a very progressive fashion just to see things through. Subsequent administrations have been bogged down and not a lot of inaction and preferred dialogue versus action. So there are so many fronts where we hit it timing right with Fruta del Norte. And yeah, hats off to the guys out there right now that are doing projects in this environment.
And we're sort of coming around, sorry, Michael, we're sort of coming around to, Denver Gold Forum, the Precious Metals Summit next month. This is going to be one of the first opportunities for the precious metal sector to get together. Particularly with reference to the business development teams of some of the big companies to sort of come and meet some of the junior companies. Do you think this opportunity is going to result in a new wave of deals? The fact that people can actually meet together, kick the tires, hash out deals?
I think, Paul, that we'll see a lot more discussions, but I'm not too sure how many deals we'll see, because everyone right now is just, if you look at where equity prices are at and things like that, I think people may be a bit nervous. Might be challenging to find something deals that work, but I think the discussions and the start of things will definitely happen in September, both at Precious Metals and the Beaver Creek Forum as well.
My next question then obviously is going to be, what for Lundin Gold, you're going to go to some of these events. What's your outlook? Are you looking for things that you can perhaps buy buy at a bargain price, or are you looking to perhaps, what your options are to merge or be sold into something much bigger?
Well, for us, as typical Lundin, and we'll continue this, is there's, as I've said many times, there's always a for sale sign on the front lawn. That's just the way we are. We don't get in love with assets. So for us, it's both. We've got to look for opportunities to increase value for our shareholders, whether it's an acquisition that's accretive or someone is interested in looking at us. And for us, the key to that is just to get our shareholder value back up. We're in a number of ways.
Thank you.
Ron, what's cost like right now? What's it like for diesel, explosives, and getting those trucks?
For us, we're underground, so that helps quite a bit in that we're not a big consumer of diesel, but we pay market price in Ecuador, so we've seen some increase. But the productivity that the team at site has shown in terms of tons moved per hour with our truck operating time the team has done a great job. And for us in Ecuador, even though inflation's gone now from maybe 2.5% a couple of months ago, it's climbing, inching towards 5%. It's still significantly lower than many other countries in Latin America. So we're not seeing the inflationary impact that many others are seeing. And as a result, our all-in sustaining costs, other than increases in sustaining capital, are effectively flat, and if not a little bit down through some productivity improvements at site.
What's the growing pain point then right now, Ron? Is labor been an issue right now, or is there geopolitical issues?
We had some geopolitical. It's a great question. We had some geopolitical issues in June. There was a national strike that was affected essentially the whole country. There were no blockades per se of Fruta del Norte. We were still able to move employees that lived in nearby communities and everything, but it was more on the national highways. What really impacted us was bringing in some cement and other commodities, but also getting our gold out. The biggest impact for us, we continued operating throughout the 18-day strike. The biggest impact to us was not being able to get concentrate and doré out. And as a result, our sales volume for Q2 was significantly lower than our production. Normally, it's much tighter. So we will have, but we've recovered all of that in July right away, as soon as things open back up again. Things right now in Ecuador, Michael, have settled down significantly. Discussions are going on between the indigenous group Kanai and the national government, but things are more or less back to normal. And we'll see how they've got till October to try and have some resolution, and discussions, negotiations are ongoing.
Now, Ron, you're a mine builder, and I don't know what to make of copper and gold after all of these swings. What's a conservative price? What is a price that you would use for using these commodities for modeling out a mine?
It's a great question. And, I think me personally, we were doing it, probably look at for copper around that 350. I think you don't want to be too aggressive. I think that's a good price to be looking at. If a project makes sense at that, it's going to be durable and sustainable. And for gold, we did everything at Lundin Gold back at $1,100, $1,200. Banks did $1,100. We did $1,200. I think, as Tom Palmer of Newmont said, I think we are in a new environment. And if I were looking at a project today, I'd probably be using $1,400 gold for projects going forward.
Are there any industry trends or companies outside of the Lundin Group that you're keeping an eye on, Ron?
I think the industry trends, as a group, we continue to look at potential for battery metals, as potential opportunities there, but really focusing on our key strengths, the base metals with Lundin Mining and gold for Lundin Gold, and exploration opportunities. For us, for Lundin Gold, we are looking at not only just merging with a development or production story, but there are other opportunities where maybe we can take a foothold in an exploration type company, and for that future as well. The group's got a very diverse background with NGX, Filo, and from exploration to production. And I think that's one of the things about the Lundin Group is we can really dip our toe in any part along the life cycle of an operation.
Paul?
I think one thing to sort of highlight there as well is the fact that Lukas and the Lundin Group have been involved in quite a broad range of different minerals and metals, copper, gold, zinc, nickel, uranium, diamonds, and of course, oil and gas. So the group seems to find opportunities right across the spectrum.
Well, and now renewables. You look at the new company Oran, which is what's left with, when Lundin Energy sold their assets primarily to Ackers, and the company that's left is now renewables, focused on that. And there's some, looking at their business plan there, and great opportunities with Oran.
Let's turn to our number of the week. Ron, do you have a number for us?
Yeah, two numbers. 64. For Lukas, and he lived a great life, 64 phenomenal years. And if we could all live a life as full as he did and beyond, and 2000, because I think we are going to end the year at $2,000 plus in gold.
Paul?
Excellent. My number of the week is 15 billion, and that is 15 billion US dollars. That's the estimated shareholder returns that Lukas Lundin and the Lundin Group have developed or delivered through exploration, development, success, takeovers, and multi-billion-dollar mergers.
My number of the week is 17. Don Lindsay is retiring from tech. He was helming tech for 17 years. Jonathan Price has been tapped as his successor. Ron, we finished with you. Can you tell us what you're looking at as milestones over the next 12 months? I believe that you have a $4 million exploration program at FDN.
Yeah, we've got a really exciting few months, Michael, in front of us. We're going to be paying our inaugural dividend of 20 cents a share. And as Paul said, we've only been really commercial operations over a little over a year. So I think that's just showing how great an asset FDN is. So that'll be announced after our Q2 results here within the next couple of weeks. $4 million near mine exploration program that we announced. We've got 2 drills turning, 1 underground, 1 on surface. Our new VP of exploration, Andre Oliveira, has really brought a fresh set of eyes per se to our exploration, and we're really excited about that opportunity, because that opportunity not only could add some, not a project in the future, could have significant impacts on FDN, and then I think just our regional exploration. I think that's the real upside. I think currently we have 5 rigs turning and anticipate more soon. So I think it's a really exciting year for Lundin Gold.
That's it for us. Follow me at Michael McCrae. That's McCrae with 2 C's. Paul is at Paul Harris Gold. Ron Hochstein, how can people get a hold of you?
Either through a website at lundingold.com or email ron.hochstein@lundingold.com.
If you like what you hear, tell a friend. Don't forget to subscribe. We are going to be taking a break next week, but we will be back mid-August. On behalf of Ron Hochstein, Paul Harris, and myself, have a pleasant weekend.